sure a lot of people are aware of intermittent fasting or have heard of it or know somebody who's currently doing it. And there's different types of intermittent fasting that I want to talk about. Basically, intermittent fasting is an eating pattern that's going to cycle between periods of fasting. So that's not starving yourself, but essentially just not eating and eating. So eating and not eating within a cycle. And it doesn't specify specifically which foods you should be eating, but rather when you need to be eating them. So in this respect, it's not a diet in the conventional sense, but it's more accurately described as an eating pattern. And there's a bunch of different methods you can do. The most popular is going to be the 16-8 method. Basically, skipping breakfast, restricting your daily eating period to 8 hours. So, like, typically for most people, that's going to be between 1 to 9 p.m. is when you're going to want to eat. And then you fast, so you don't eat for 16 hours in between. And usually that's pretty much, most of that time is spent sleeping. So it's really, you just have dinner, like lunch and dinner, basically 1 to 9 p.m., lunch and dinner. Go to bed, you wake up, don't have breakfast, repeat the next day. That's your typical 16-8 split for intermittent fasting. There's the eat, stop, eat approach, or what's called OMAD, which I tried actually for about 2 to 3 months, which is basically fasting for 24 hours. There's OMAD is a more extreme version of the eat, stop, eat method. So this is fasting for 24 hours once or twice a week. So basically, you not eating from dinner one day to dinner the next day. Now, OMAD, so one meal a day, is what OMAD stands for, is essentially that concept but applied to every day of the week. So you're fasting for 23 hours and you're eating for 1 hour, and you're doing that every day. You're eating for that 1 hour. That 1 hour is the same time every single day, and then you don't eat for another 23 hours. So it's basically you're eating once a day. I tried it. When did I try it or start doing it? I started doing it in maybe October of last year, and pretty much stuck with it for, let's say, until like December.
You were on it for a while. I remember you told me.
Is when I started to falter a little bit with it. But even still, I'm still on like my own personally modified version of OMAD. Not so much anymore, but for a while after those couple months that I was on it, I was still kind of following the philosophy. So basically, I would figure out, first of all, how many calories that I wanted to take. And this is also where kind of meal planning comes in as well. I wasn't doing like meal prep, but I was doing meal planning. So I knew every day what I wanted to eat. And when I went to grocery store, I would always buy like basically the same things. I basically ate pretty much the same thing once a day, every day for like 2 months straight. But just making sure that I had the right macronutrient split and making sure that I was ingesting enough calories, because with all fasting, the goal is to decrease your calorie intake by only eating certain times of the day, and that's how we lose weight, that calories in versus calories out approach. That being said, especially when you're going to the extreme lengths of it with OMAD, is you want to make sure during that 1 hour that you can eat, you are getting everything you need, making sure you are getting however many calories that you're trying to get to create that deficit, as well as making sure you have adequate nutrients. So your proteins, your fats, your carbs, all your micro nutrients, so your vitamins, minerals, stuff like that, making sure that in that one meal a day, you are fitting everything you need to function as a healthy human being. So that's kind of the tricky part of it. But if you can not lock that down, I do suggest it. I noticed a significant decrease in my weight for maybe after like 3 weeks. It took for me to really like notice a visible difference. Just 'cause I don't have a scale. I really need to buy a scale, but I've just been putting it off. But so I was just basically going off physical appearance. So based off physical appearance, it was definitely making a difference. It was really hard to get started with it. I think I remember the first night, I caved and ordered fast food at like 3 a.m. because I was just absolutely starving. But after that, I actually started, and it got like after the first week, like it was easy. But like I said, since then, since I've like come off the strict one meal a day, I've been kind of following that structure. So like I have one big meal a day, and if I am hungry throughout the day, I'll have like little snacks here and there. But for the most part, like I am not strictly on that breakfast, lunch, and dinner structure where you're separating those calories, dinner usually being the biggest, but like I don't usually have breakfast, I don't have lunch, and if I am kind of hungry during the day, I'm going to have something small, something that's going to be nutritionally dense, and something that's going to be filling as well, because I know that, if it's 12 midday afternoon, I'm not going to be eating until 7 p.m. and I'm starving, so I need to make sure whatever I'm going to have now is small enough that it's not going to throw out my my fast, but it's just going to last me until then. But to say I would recommend going on OMAD, it really varies. And I think like how I did it is I did not do it in conjunction with exercise. Like it was just strictly diet. And I think if I had done it with exercise, I probably would have seen even more significant gains. But the other biggest problem, and this is with all fasting, is when you basically fast and when you change, and this is why you shouldn't like stay on fasting like it's a permanent solution. Like this is something you do for a few months and then you go back to a normal diet, because when you fast, basically what happens is you change the amount of calories that your body needs in the day. Over time, that's like changing your metabolism, changing your BMR, stuff like that. So that's going to lower. But what happened to me essentially is I was continuing to eat this amount of calories that I needed when I started. So at that point, I actually started having a calorie surplus and started gaining weight. So that's the thing with fasting. You need to be careful is either continue, like at a certain point, we talked about calorie restriction. There's only so low you can go with how many calories you need in a day. So if you are fasting and that caloric need becomes like lower and lower, eventually you're going to have to stop fasting, because otherwise you are going to be going into a severe caloric deficit. Or if you are going to continue with how many calories you started with, the healthy amount that you need, you're going to start gaining weight because now your BMR is lower than when you started. So that's why fasting is not a permanent solution, but it is something that you can do. Like I said, so you can throw in the 16-8 method, you can throw in the eat-stop method. There's the other one, the 5-2 diet. So with this method, you basically consume 500 to 600 calories on 2 non-consecutive days of the week. And then for the other 5 days of the week, you just eat normally. So it's literally just like 2 days of the week. It's a very low caloric day.
So you have low and normal days.
Yeah, not back to back, but just like if like Monday and Thursday you only eat 500 calories, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're eating normally as you would.
That's interesting.
So those are kind of the main methods for intermittent fasting, but yeah, not a permanent solution. But for me, the reason I'm still kind of on the 1 meal a day structure was because one, it's easy. Like I don't have to, figure out what I'm going to eat for 3 meals a day. I can literally just know, all right, I have to plan for 1 meal a day. So if you are trying to meal plan and meal prep, it's really, really simple because you're planning for 1 meal a day instead of 3 meals a day. So just knowing what you're going to eat once a day as opposed to 3 times a day makes it a lot simpler. Makes it a lot cheaper. What I like to do is I like to buy only as much food as I need for like the next few days. And then when I'm basically out of food, I'm not tempted to snack on things when I'm a little bit hungry because I have no food. That's essentially how I've chosen to do that. It just eliminates craving, eliminates temptation, and it's really just something that you go, oh, well, suck it up. You're not going to be eating again until the next day at a certain time, so it helps keep you on track.
The poor man's diet.
Yeah, so making sure that, again, you are making it so that, like, with OMAD, yeah, you could have a pizza every single day, once a day, and that technically follows within the guideline of OMAD. But is a pizza going to be an efficient use of that structure? Obviously not, because it's not nutrient dense. You're not getting everything you need, and you're getting a lot of bad things out of it too. So if you are going to be fasting, any type of fasting, making sure that on the days that you are fasting, you want to be making sure that those meals are going to be good, packed with nutrition, and making sure they're going to be able to fuel you for the next time you need to eat.